feelings hurt. Read this.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to
Karman
Short Review.
Dang.
Karman Short Review. What up? We're here.
What up, man?
I recently
What up?
checked, and we are still the only place in the universe where you can watch 3 cursed filmmakers reviewing user-submitted short films.
That's amazing.
I know.
Does anybody else do that?
Nobody. Maybe because it's very unpopular.
Oh yeah.
Like, just
yeah.
Right.
no one.
Just
No,
no
one
one
enjoys
cares.
No one
watching
likes
amateur
this.
short
No
films.
one wants
likes to
it.
do
It's just no one wants to do it.
It's a dirty job, but someone's got to do it. you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. Mike Rowe would be proud
Yeah.
of us.
He would.
Yeah.
We should do a segment called Dirty Jobs. We could do a segment on dirty jobs, and Mike Rowe will come to us.
Yeah, and talk about
How dirty our job
how
is.
blue collar we are doing
Yeah.
short film reviews.
See what
Yeah,
you guys
man.
don't see
we're,
off
we're
camera.
The people. We're a men's man.
No, man's men.
Men's mincemeat.
Mincemeat.
Okay.
Men's meat.
Anyway,
We're men's meat.
we're men's mincemeat.
Okay. Today we have a little film. It's 15 minutes. Not that little.
It's about a
And
clown.
as a large crew.
It's called Once a Clown, produced and directed by Murphy Rhodes.
And as huge fans of the circus, we got very hyped about this one.
That's not true.
That's true for me.
Okay. All right then. To each their own. We're gonna start with first impressions, not second
Wait.
or third.
Can we invite the people to watch the movie? Do we skip that?
I'd
Oh.
rather you just not watch the movie.
There's a link, and we're supposed to summarize it.
Oh, synopsis, right? Okay,
Thanks.
let's do this.
So watch the movie for yourself. But if you're super lazy and don't want to, we'll just summarize it.
And go ahead and summarize it.
Okay, so this is a film. Takes place in like an alternate reality where clowns are a ethnic minority of a type, and we follow the story of a persecuted ethnic minority.
Yes.
A lot of parallels between it and many of the social problems going on in our world today. And we follow one particular clown who is estranged from his son, and he
has like alcohol problems.
he's an alcoholic and a drug addict. He wants to be reunited with his son. Finds out that his son has had his face augmented through surgery. He decides to do the same thing, and then he goes crazy. And that's pretty much it.
Spoilers.
Well, we
Well,
invited
it's
them
a
to watch the
synopsis.
movie.
Yeah.
We're synopsizing the entire movie.
But that's a spoiler.
That's okay. This is a spoiler review.
We're talking about spoilers?
We're gonna spoil this film.
This is a review with spoilers.
Spoilers. This has
Yes,
spoilers
We're
in it.
actually going to talk about what happened in the movie.
Oh, jeez.
Crazy, right?
I know.
Okay.
I know. Insane.
Okay,
Now we
okay.
can do first
First impressions. Let's do it.
Hey. There we go. All right, we're here.
Ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Give it to me.
Yep. So my first impressions of this movie were that I do not like the premise. Not a fan of the premise. That was my first thought. I think that the film was well produced. I think it was fairly well executed. I like the performances in it. And I like that stuff. I just don't particularly love the content, I guess. I wasn't a huge fan of the idea. Well, this is a type of movie that's been done a lot before. But I was just left with the feeling that they didn't really say much about it. There wasn't really much social commentary other than the fact that racism exists. But there didn't seem to be much of a grander commentary on that.
I would absolutely 100% agree. And that's kind of my only view.
Yeah.
That what you said.
Yeah, so I watched this movie 2 times. I think you guys
So
did
did I.
too.
I did too.
Yeah. So I watched it 2 times. And I actually enjoyed it a little more the second time around.
I did too.
Partially because we used subtitles, and there was definitely some audio problems in this film.
I just want to say, hey, great that there were subtitles.
Oh
in the
yeah,
film. That was really cool.
big good on the filmmakers for providing real subtitles to YouTube instead of asking YouTube to make them for you, which never works.
Yeah.
But I think the other thing is that the first time around, I almost immediately just discounted the whole movie on the sort of subgenre alone.
Yeah.
Because I've seen so many movies where it's just take a social issue, replace black people, replace gays replace Muslims with some kind of fantasy element, and just because you've done that, now it's poignant somehow. Right. And I've just seen it done so many times that I didn't give the movie a fair shake the first time. I was like, out. And you even called me on it after the movie ended. I'm like, I didn't like it because of what it was. And you're just like, oh, you can't do that. But second time around, I appreciated a lot more of certain parts of the film that we'll get into. But I do have a lot to say about this type of film.
Yeah.
We'll get into it.
I think we all do.
Sweet.
Why don't we start speaking about this type of film in our first category called writing. Here in writing.
I love it here. Writing's my favorite space.
Yeah. We always like this.
We often do writing, don't we?
This category. It's in every episode almost.
Pretty much.
So the story here, I don't think we even have much of a character arc going on here, but
not a lot.
It's like a profile.
I mean,
somewhat of a descent
from sad to sadder.
I guess a descent.
Yeah. My problem with the story was that it leaned almost entirely on the gimmick.
Yeah.
On replacing the persecuted minority group with clowns, and that making it interesting on itself.
Right.
Without giving us a real so what.
Yeah.
And the messages kind of piece.
Right.
That being said, it's hard to do this and not be preachy. That's a very difficult line to walk.
I think so. Yeah.
But when I was watching it the second time around, one thing I asked myself was, what would this story be if we took out the clown element and just put in a real life persecuted minorities? Like if this was about a Muslim growing up in a space where there's lots of racism against Muslims.
Yeah.
Or a persecuted gay group or something like that.
Right.
How does the movie hold up?
Yeah.
And the answer was not very well.
Well,
it just didn't go anywhere.
It changed. It changed the direction. So when we did talk about that.
Sorry.
This is getting to be a big problem.
Void dust, dude.
I wish you wouldn't drink the strong stuff on the show.
There's no other way I can
Is
get
that
through
straight
this.
aardvark sauce?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's straight aardvark sauce.
Yeah.
Jeez. And guayaki.
Yeah, he's
No, it's caffeinated
You're
aardvark
insane.
sauce.
Okay.
You were saying.
If this was replaced with a real life persecuted minority, I think the message would be more poignant, and I think it's because we have a context.
It would bring context with it.
Yeah.
Like in reality, we already know about these minorities, and to see someone that would go to this length to have surgery performed on them to rid themselves of persecution is a crazy thing.
Right.
But
It's very dark.
Yeah, it is really dark, and the message is still there in this movie, but because we don't have any context built for it, all we understand is that he's a clown, which is probably something that's akin to, I don't know, Arabs, here in the U.S.
Yeah, but the fact is they didn't tell us anything about what clowns actually are in this world. So we only have what we see.
Right.
We have
There's clown culture. Like, What is that actually like?
We don't know. We actually have no reason to not just believe the racist phone caller at the beginning who says he doesn't trust them and thinks they're terrorists.
Right.
For all we know about these clowns, maybe he's right. We don't know. They don't tell us otherwise.
You know what was weird was at the end of the movie, where they did the bonus scene here.
Yeah.
Like that even gave me more perspective where I'm like, oh no, they're definitely bad people. Like, it feels weird to say that, to confirm the message that they're speaking out against, but
well, I think what they're saying is that there are bad clowns.
Yeah.
Right. There are like radicalized.
as opposed to
clowns
this
out
guy,
Yeah.
because he was. See, that's what's
But
weird.
they
about it.
they never illustrate the positives of clowns, the positives of being a clown.
Or humanize them is what we would call
Right.
it.
So
right?
we saw him.
Yeah.
Wake up, do a line of coke, drink alcohol,
Yeah.
lose his job. Like, okay, he's not a great case study in the virtues of clowns.
Right.
And then we have the the quick cut flash to the party sequence,
Yeah.
which was cool, by the way. I like that scene. But all I have to go off of is clowns are drug addicts and party animals,
Right.
right? So it's hard to draw those parallels to people that are actually persecuted around us.
Well, and they did something very similar in a movie we all know called Bright.
Yeah, and that was a
Netflix.
The
bad
Netflix
movie.
classic.
I like this movie better.
I
than-
do too.
than
Absolutely.
Bright.
I do
no
too.
doubt.
In Bright, they had the same problem where we have ethnic minorities.
They were orcs. That's what they
Orcs.
call
That's
them,
what it was.
orcs.
They had orcs, and
Elves.
all they told us about the orcs was that they're gangsters. Most of them are kind
They're
of gangsters.
one-dimensional gangsters.
Yeah, and I'm just like, okay, yeah, I see it. The main character, Jacoby, who was the orc main character, who wasn't Will Smith, that guy. They didn't tell us really anything about him other than he's a person who's been persecuted and isn't that bad, you know?
Right. Actually, the movie made us feel like he was an absolute exception to
Right.
the rest of his kind.
Well, and that's
Like
and
he
that's the
wanted to
movie's
cut off his teeth. And
right.
stuff
That's the
like that.
writer's fault there, you know.
Right.
But that's where I'm drawing a parallel
Right,
between
but-
that movie and this one.
But they wanted us to feel in Bright, not to make this episode about Bright, but it's
We actually have an episode about Bright.
We do. But it's a similar problem,
Yeah.
right? Because in Bright, they expected us to look at the cops who were saying like, "Oh, I never would be partnered with an orc," right? They expect us to go, "Oh, that's wrong. Those cops are in the wrong. Those are bad cops."
Right.
But from all that we see on the screen,
There's nothing to disprove
the
it.
cops are right, for as
Yeah.
far as I could tell.
As far as we know, yeah.
It makes sense for them not to trust orcs.
And it's this idea that just knowing separation between people is wrong. Just knowing that for some reason makes the movie like deliver a message, and I don't think that's true.
No,
Well, that's such a message that should just go without saying.
I mean, it should.
well, it should, except I think you kind of throw it out the window when you replace a people
when
with a
it's
fantasy people.
One removed.
You
one
have
step
to
removed.
give context
Yeah.
with it. Now, a movie that did this well is District 9.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so District 9 brought aliens from outer space, and within just the first, I don't know, 20 minutes of the movie, you begin to see interactions between the aliens, father and son, and others, that you see patterns that you recognize as the humanistic behavior.
Yeah.
And you begin to see, oh, that's a dad who loves his son.
Right.
Right? You begin to draw these parallels and you go, okay, I have empathy for these aliens. I'm not okay with them being slaughtered.
Right.
Right? Didn't have that in Bright.
We didn't have that.
Didn't
here.
have that here.
Yeah. What we did see in the beginning was a dad who was estranged. That he did want to see his son. But other than just him saying that, we didn't really have any other evidence.
Yeah.
His actions certainly don't prove
Exactly.
it.
Exactly.
He
No.
shows up to see his son
Yeah.
drinking alcohol
Right.
with a bottle of liquor in his hand.
Right. And it's like that could be a really interesting like character dynamic. It could be one person who's on a downhill,
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Um,
But if that's the character story,
Yeah.
then the whole clown idea is completely
Yeah, I
unnecessary.
wonder
It's
where
unnecessary.
where
And a
does that fit
distraction.
into
it's
it?
a,
Yeah.
it's a distraction is what
Yeah.
it is, exactly. Like if you had this replaced with any other ethnic minority, it would still work, as
Yeah.
just a character piece, but because now we have this idea they are clowns and clowns are different.
It
Yeah.
puts a huge emphasis on this angle of it being
Yeah.
about ethnic
Right.
persecution.
Yeah, exactly.
We had said
Or-
like if this were about a man who was gay, whose relationship to his wife was ruined because he came out as gay.
Yeah.
They broke up. He's estranged from his son, and if he was driven to go get some radical procedure or brainwashing camp kind of thing to try to become straight on this idea that he's going to fix things somehow, like that's a much more interesting movie.
Yeah.
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 I kind of think that also by choosing to deal with the real life minorities, any one persecuted minority, you are more or less forced to have a point, Like it puts more pressure on you to actually have a specific message because you're dealing with real world things. There's not that one step removed generalization.
Right.
I think that's what it feels like with having a clown or having the orcs and the elves. It just feels like a generalization, a vague depiction of general discrimination.
Yeah.
Rather than any one honed in message.
Yeah, that is what's interesting. In Bright, they had a lot of orcs that were basically copying the culture of gangster like Mexicans, right? It was that culture.
Yeah.
But what Mexican culture has with it is all these things that Mexican culture has that the orcs don't. The orcs don't have the whole history that Mexicans do.
Yeah.
And so you can't draw the conclusions the same way.
I think the only way it works is like they did it in District 9, where the existence of these aliens from outer space makes the differences between humans almost unimportant, right? Now it's humans one side altogether, aliens over here.
Yeah, it's a much bigger
and we have
thing.
a very clear
Right.
different. And so now any story we tell about humanity trying to coexist with these aliens does carry a lesson that we could apply anywhere in our lives now with anyone who's different.
Right, because it's about our actions.
Yeah.
It's not about the separation. It's about our actions.
So one of your favorite dudes, Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yes, I was going to say Neil Blomkamp.
Oh, wait, Neil. Another Neil. Equally cool Neil. He once said that the day that we have a thriving human population on Mars will be the end of nations on Earth.
Yeah.
We will all just become one. We'll just be Earth.
Right.
Right? And Mars will be the outsiders. Like
Right.
as soon as a bigger outsider is established, all those
Becomes
sort of behind the line become homogenized.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Unified.
Right.
And what they did with the clown here wasn't quite enough to do that. So in the switcheroo in itself wasn't enough to make that powerful lesson happen. I think.
Right.
So I'm left wondering why the clown at all. Like,
Yeah.
what does it do? What is the purpose?
Well, I think in the head of the writer, it makes sense. In the head of the writer, they have the idea that there is this separation that we shouldn't have, but it's not coming through because the story I think is much more complex than that. In real life, it isn't just about skin color. It isn't just about sexual orientation. It's about all the history of conflicts that we've had.
Yeah, there's like hundreds of years of context.
Exactly.
Right.
Like
if this had if it wasn't a short, basically, if it had, some kind of, well, actually, I've seen this done well in under 3 minutes, just kind of like a breakdown of how we got here.
Yeah.
Right. The histories of clowns integrating into regular, British culture.
Yeah.
Right?
If there was some way, that we defined all that. It's funny because I want to talk more about the reason why it didn't work in Bright, but I think we can say that in this episode right here.
Yeah.
Which one is that?
That's back when we had a show called The Talkies.
The review of
Ooh.
Bright. Yeah,
Yeah.
check it out. It's fun. Especially if you care.
Especially if you care.
So I feel like the ending of this movie feels like it's making a point where we have him come
The
in
wife and the
yeah.
little kid.
And what I gathered from that is hypocrisy.
Yeah. I actually, it's funny. That clown at the window genuinely unnerved me. Like, she actually, like, I'm like,
Is this guy his dad?
yeah, I think that was his boss.
That's his boss.
Right,
Oh, that's
who
his
fired
boss.
him at the beginning.
For being a clown?
No,
more or less.
just fired him for cutbacks.
Gotcha.
That's what he said,
Yeah.
right?
But
But he
he
gave
did
him that
discriminate
flyer
against
saying,
him.
like, hey,
Right.
you can go get work.
Yeah.
I don't think they suggested at all that it was necessarily bigotry.
Okay.
He comes after him as if he is, though, only to reveal that the guy's family is clowns.
Yeah.
Right? So he's not a bigot, right? It's not the way he thought the world actually functioned. And yet, that didn't have a potent aha moment for me. Why do you think that?
I think it's because from the beginning we already knew that the boss wasn't a bigot.
I didn't
Yeah.
buy into the fact. I think it comes down to the fact that the main character is never likable.
Right. Well, and that he has a mind that seems to be formulated by the idea of persecution.
Right.
He seems to.
Right.
And that's a cool characteristic to have. Or I don't know if I'm reading that right, but I think that's a really cool characteristic where he feels so persecuted that he feels like his actions are justified of, threatening this guy and everything. But we never felt like him. We never empathized with him during this whole part where he has a gun on the guy. We're like, you've gone crazy now, which is weird because he kind of, like the whole surgery part, like he had this moral compass that seemed to be facing one way and then completely switched after he got his surgery done. And it was weird because he's like telling the doctor basically, you're going to fix my son. He's proud to be a clown. It was in his head. That's what he's thinking.
Yeah.
You should be a proud clown. And then he just up and goes like chaotic.
Well, and he gets the surgery himself.
Well, no, after that is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
After he had the surgery, he realizes he made a mistake.
Ah.
And then he says, the guy, you're going to fix my son because I shouldn't have to pretend to be anyone else. Clowns are fine. But then he steps opposite into this whole part where he goes to the guy and says, well, actually, I've embraced this clown thing and I'm actually a bad guy.
Yeah, and I'm going to show you by threatening your life.
Yeah. He brings the clown gun. He refers to himself as silly shoes and has the chaotic laugh. That's him saying
goes full Joker.
Yeah, that's him saying, okay, I'm gonna fit into the stereotype now. Which the idea was that he wasn't gonna be the stereotype.
That sounds terrible.
Yeah, so I don't understand.
Like as a personal choice.
The choice is really cool. The characteristic is really interesting, but the story wasn't about that.
That's the problem.
That's what's weird about it.
That is the problem. It is a cool idea for a character.
Yeah. And I feel like that's actually what this ending was supposed to be, was that when he sees the other clowns, they are just people. They're not all crazy like he is.
Narrative dissonance.
Yeah.
Unfocused.
Unfocused narrative dissonance.
Cinema narrative, unfocused, distance.
Cinnamon narrative.
Distance.
Unfocused.
Dissonance.
Cinnamon
toast
crunch.
fuck. What in the cinnamon toast fuck?
What is that?
It's a meme.
Really?
Yes.
I don't have the internet. Back to writing. I
you have
also
more to say about
my very last point on the story itself. I do not understand his motivation for getting the surgery.
Yeah, that seemed kind of out of left field.
That felt like
no.
I didn't get it.
I want to say it's because he was considering killing himself just before.
Yeah.
He tried to get a clown job, couldn't get a clown job, tried to kill himself.
He could have. He just didn't stay on the phone.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they played
Gave
him.
up.
They played him.
I'd be really depressed if that was my phone. Wouldn't you?
That was a really good character moment, by the way, when he was on hold and they said,
I
hello?
like that part of it.
Gotcha. Yeah.
That was funny.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Clowns sound like great people. They sound funny. I like clowns.
I wish this was.
This guy's a downer.
I wish the world was fleshed out more.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it needed.
Yeah, we had needed more world building.
Yeah. That was Bright's problem too.
That's interesting.
They showed all this like B-roll at the beginning, like that
was supposed to be world
built
building.
The world, they're showing graffiti and stuff.
Yeah, that was terrible.
And that was like their way of saying, like, look, now you get the world, but we fundamentally did not.
We do not.
Yeah. So anyway,
this was a very long section.
Yeah, are we done with writing?
I think so.
Let's
Should we
move
go
on.
to
Directing?
Directing.
I would do acting and then directing as the big finale.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Acting. Let's go to acting. What do we want to say about acting?
I liked them.
The main thing I think we're going to highlight is that this was well cast.
Yeah. I love our main character is awesome.
The
He's a
lead,
great actor.
Yeah.
All of them were great.
He has a really good look too.
Well, most of them were great.
Two favorite performances were him and the doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought the doctor just played a really good, slightly cringy, creepy back alley surgeon, who genuinely believed in what he was doing.
Yeah.
I did believe that he was that character.
Yeah.
I did believe that.
Yeah.
Like
was good.
Yeah, you can believe that he when he says that, like,
Yeah.
well, frankly, if you're a clown, you're not normal.
You're not normal.
Yeah,
he
like
said
he said that like
very
it's
well.
like it's
Yeah.
scientific,
Yeah.
like it's fact,
Right.
And he did that so well.
He did, yeah.
This actually is not an acting note, but kudos on putting together such a cool, believable set here.
Yeah.
Because if you notice, all they did was put up a couple of LED movie lights like we have on our locations, and plastic.
Yeah.
Like that could be anywhere.
And
You
then
could do that. You can make that same set anywhere. It's nice that it has bricks, but it doesn't have to have bricks.
Right.
That looks cool.
It
That's
looks
really
great, yeah.
good. Yeah. The balloon.
Yeah, the balloon was funny.
I also really liked his boss's performance at the end when he's cowering.
Yeah, and he's falling down.
Though I actually didn't love our main character's performance here.
Oh, when he loses it?
Yeah,
Yeah, he was better when he was like a depressed guy.
yeah, a little
Yeah.
more.
He does
subdued.
depressed better than crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh boy, this guy does groveling well.
yeah.
He does, yeah.
Yeah.
And the
When he cowers here, I love that.
Good cowering.
good cowering. Our main guy was really good. I thought he was really well cast.
I did too.
Yeah, I want to see his whole face.
Yeah,
Right,
without makeup.
Hey, quick. Oh no, this is in directing. Never mind.
Great.
Never mind.
Hold on to that.
Keep it to yourself.
Oh, I shall.
I like that he trips over the bush though.
That was a good trip too. I don't think the mom was great, but I thought it was kind of cool that she has a little bit of pink in her hair. I don't know if that's.
She's trying to be a bridge
Or
to
that's
clown culture.
Yeah, I wonder if that was like a directing decision.
It was very distracting that they didn't let us get a good look at his face.
Because the prosthetic was probably not that great.
Well, you could see something peeling off his nose.
Yeah, looks like
But
a bandage. Right
Whatever the problem was,
here. Yeah, we never got a close
not
up.
getting a clear shot of his face it made
Yeah.
you feel like, oh, they messed up something.
Right.
That's what it felt like.
It did. Yeah, into production.
That's not an acting note,
right.
by the way.
Although this is good for acting, it was nice to not have any lines from the kid.
Yes. Yeah.
Avoid lines from children whenever possible.
Have him do a blank face.
Yeah.
Look how good he is there. That was
Yeah.
awesome.
You could
good.
just tell with the sound off. You're
Yeah.
just like, dang,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you can act.
That's actually a great thing, where you can tell what's happening just from the character without the sound.
Yeah.
That is really good acting. So kudos.
Well done.
Really well done.
I like his face. I just like his face. He's got a good face.
It's got a good face. She looks like she's smiling right there. It's like,
Yeah,
you're so funny.
she's like smiling.
You're just so funny.
We've seen that a few times in some other films.
Where people smile.
Yeah, or
little bit.
it's like a dark thing.
this is-
They're serious. She's upset, but they're like smiling.
Boy.
What's up?
Okay, I'll do it in directing. It's a writing thing.
Let's go to directing. This
we'll do
is a short
directing.
section.
All right, yeah.
All right.
Thanks for the good acting.
Good acting.
Good acting. Directing.
All right, right here in this scene where she's confronting him, is I think the crux of the very, very big problem. She comes up and says, "Well, he was being bullied, so of course I took off his face."
Right.
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 I mean, so she's suggesting that in this world, in this reality, having someone surgically altered is a fairly logical response to being bullied, which means right there is no direct parallel to anything else that we're experiencing in actual social problems
Right.
around us.
Right.
Like, I cannot imagine a human mom who goes to that
That
extreme.
length. Yeah.
With the exception of maybe some like wacky Christian fundamentalists and the gay brainwashing thing.
Yeah.
But so again, an example of why we needed more context for this stuff to make sense.
I think so.
Because I don't know, maybe all moms go and have their face of their kids altered. I don't
Right.
know. We just don't know.
That's interesting.
What do you think about the overall tone of the film?
I thought that was
I loved
pretty
the tone.
well done.
Yeah.
Good.
And I like the balance of the way they used the visuals in connection with soundtrack choices was very cool.
Yeah.
When he brought in Teddy Bear's Picnic for the suicide moment, that scene was just maybe the apex of the whole movie in my mind. Tone was strong. It's very clear that this is a writer/director with vision.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think it was written by someone else.
Well,
no, I think it was written and directed by the same guy.
Well, let's check it out.
I think it was based on a story by someone else. Produced and directed by.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. It does say original story.
An original story by Murphy Rhodes.
That's interesting. I wonder why they didn't say written by also.
I don't know. Yeah.
Well, it could be they wrote the story
Maybe
and
he had
then
a
someone else
collaborator
wrote
writer.
the screenplay.
Oh, maybe.
Anyway.
Oh, hey.
But yeah.
Murphy Rhodes played Richard.
Oh, Murphy Rhodes, the director,
The
is
director.
the actor.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's actually really impressive.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you have something on your... Right here. You good?
What is it, face paint?
Yeah, it was face paint, yeah.
Okay.
I love the scene where he does go into the club, even though this scene doesn't really make sense in the context of the film.
I don't like that scene.
I thought it was really cool.
The scene itself, the shot.
And I love the
out
masks.
of context is awesome.
I don't know why you would need them.
Yeah.
But what it does is it makes it so you don't have to put clown paint on everyone in the room.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Is that what that is? Is that a clown club?
That's what or it's a club for mix people.
Yeah.
Where people go together and they put on masks so that you
anonymous.
can't tell who is who.
Yeah.
But except for that guy.
That guy.
But to me, it just felt like a clever way to avoid having to put makeup on everybody.
That's funny. No, I thought this was weirdly inserted into the movie.
That's
I don't know.
absolutely true.
I have no idea how this.
It doesn't
scene
fit in the
fits
movie
into
at all.
the
It
movie.
doesn't help the story at all.
Right.
But it's cool.
Because it's a point where they said the job person was saying
parties.
Yeah, parties.
And he's like, "This is my idea of parties."
Right, and
Yeah,
it's like
but it's like, who
a whole
cares?
minute long.
Yeah, and it's
scene.
like, yeah, but you could still do parties.
Right. Yeah, it just didn't seem to fit in the rest of the movie.
That's another directing thing. That scene where he's sitting there talking with, I guess, a job placement.
I thought it was a
person.
therapist.
It could be a therapist.
I didn't know what it was really. This is the scene right here.
Yeah, but the fact is, we stay on this close-up of him for the entirety of the scene. We never see the woman who's talking to him
Or the room.
or the room, which means you could have just pulled this off anywhere.
Which is great, yeah.
Which is a really cool, low-budget way to make a scene, and it worked.
Yeah.
Like, for me, that worked. This didn't work, but it was cool.
Yeah,
Still
again, the
cool.
scene
Still
out,
cool.
the shot out of context is cool.
Yeah.
Because the energy is awesome, the music's awesome.
Yeah, if someone showed me this clip by
Yeah.
itself and said, "Hey, you're going to be reviewing a short film. This is a clip," I'd
Yeah.
have been like, "Dang,
This is gonna be
this,
awesome.
this is going to be awesome."
Yeah, that was neat, yeah. Neat.
Yeah. So in terms of communicating vision, at least tonally and aesthetically,
Yeah,
I feel like this is a well-directed
absolutely.
movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I feel like there was a desire here to make some kind of social commentary, and that part fell flat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really know what to say about the social commentary part because it's obvious there's a parallel. You know, it's quite
Yeah,
obvious.
well, I don't
Well, it's
know
in
why
the
you make
description.
this kind of movie if that's not your primary objective.
Right. See, that
And
I
if
think
that's
is
the primary
what's weird.
objective, then that's
It's
not
like-
good.
Well, it doesn't exist.
It's like how
this
would
film.
we know unless it's really, really, really strong characterization? How are we supposed to know that this movie is not supposed to make a social commentary? Like, if someone wanted to make just a film about this guy who goes through the things that he did, but is not trying to say anything about the culture,
You would not draw that conclusion.
it's hard to draw that conclusion.
No, I don't
right?
think you would at all. That was my point earlier. That
Yeah.
the social commentary aspects fall apart without the clown gimmick, which means the whole movie rests upon it being a clown gimmick,
Right.
which means
Which means there is okay. So
as far as I could go for this film is just say neat.
right.
Do we have anything else to say? Shall I move on to questions?
I think I'm good.
Let's do it.
All right.
Taylor, what part of the
What
show
part
is
of this? This is the part of the show where we're going to ask some questions to our filmmaker this week. If you have any questions, viewing audience, leave them down below in the comments for Murphy. Is that
Murphy.
Mr. Murphy to respond
Mr.
to.
Rhodes.
Yeah, but I'm trying to be cool and do the first name Mr. thing.
Mr. Murphy.
That's cool.
Is that
now.
cool?
So
that's in.
So hopefully,
good. Thank you.
hopefully the filmmaker will come over and answer the questions.
Yep. Go.
Me?
Yep. Go D.
I don't have any questions.
I got some.
Wow.
Oh no, I have a question.
Fine, just go do it.
I'm gonna take all your questions.
Yeah, you will.
I want to know if this shot. That mine's a very specific question. If this shot of the club was something that was super premeditated and planned out, or if this was random. Because I feel like it was super planned out because it's a pretty long shot. That's it. That's my question.
You thought that this was just shot at a rave that already took
Because
place.
I've done the same thing.
Yeah.
And I feel like it was the same thing. So.
Yeah, so you got to a rave and you're like, hey, I want to shoot something here. Everyone dance this way for 5 minutes. You could be in my movie and I'll give you popcorn.
Basically.
See you later. Yeah.
Dude, I'd do that for popcorn.
It's amazing what people will do for some cheap food.
Questions?
Seriously. It's amazing. Anyway, okay. My question is, why the clown gimmick at all? What were you hoping to accomplish by taking this character piece and giving it this this sort of through line of persecuted clowns? What were you hoping that would add to what is essentially a character story?
Yeah, are we missing something? Or did we miss an overall message? And also, what kind of movies do you like to make outside of this? Is this kind of your genre, whatever this genre may be? What kind of movies do you want to make?
One more, and that is, what were the challenges in being a leading star and director at the same time?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I think that's a big challenge to overcome, and I want to know what your experience was like, both being the leading character and director.
Cool. Well, thank you so much, Murphy, for submitting your film, if you were the one who submitted it.
Yeah, it was a joy. It was a joy to watch. You're all you gotta do is go back and watch a lot more of our episodes, and you'll quickly see that we tear apart every movie, and you are in fact a good filmmaker. So, and I want to see more of your work.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Bam.
Bam.
Another one's done in the can.
See you guys later.
Goodbye.